Congratulations on being on.
There you go.
Congratulations on investing in your time to be here on this call. It's an investment for you. And by the way, some people go, oh, I don't really want to get on that call. And listen, that's okay. Maybe you're not learning base, maybe you're not coachable, or maybe you just know everything. I don't know. That's what I tell people all the time. I might sound like an a-hole a lot of times, but I just don't care. I care about people's growth. I don't care about their whining, crying things about, well, I was on that call last year, this time, get on it again. You don't know everything. I was in a conversation yesterday with a very, very high-minded individual, Hank Sorensen, and maybe some of you guys know who Hank is, right? Hank is a brilliant. He studies the market, and he said, Tom, the realtors are in for a reality check, right? The realtors are in for a reality check. And that's why we have Coach Curtis and Coach Debbie here, is because I'm going to tell you right now, you may not think there's a shift in the market, but there's a shift in the business, right? So there's so many realtors in the business where one's grabbing towards the other. I was reading an article this morning. It says, oh, shift. What agents need their clients to understand and themselves. And by the way, I read every article in Inman, every single article that comes out, I read it because I need to deliver that to you. And I know Debbie and Curtis are gonna go on that. Number one, tell your buyers, stop testing the system to see if you are right. Buyers, you're not right. They hire you as a professional, right? I was talking to a young man yesterday. He's doing a VA loan. He's a veteran. He's 80% disabled. He was in combat. He works for NASA. His realtor's like, the market's tough. You may not get a home because you're a VA loan. He said, I'm discouraged, so I signed a 1-year lease. I said, you ought to go file a complaint against that realtor, because their job is to find you a home, get out there and hunt. If somebody's giving you the opportunity to work for them, go find it and stop sitting there crying. When it comes to writing offers, you have one chance to make it right. One chance. Be proactive. Listen, you're the one guiding them. Well, let me think about it. Okay, I understand. Go home and think about it, because the people who seen it yesterday are going to think about it, and they're going to be having the offer. So you may be too late. Does this fit your criteria? Be very proactive. Just make sure you tell your sellers greed is not good. Be open-minded to a VA FHA. This is not mission impossible, and just stop acting like whatever goes wrong is your fault. Okay. It is your fault if you get too involved emotionally. It is your fault. Keep the emotion out of it. Keep the business perspective first, and look out for your customer first, not your emotions in the paycheck. So I really kind of, I love these shirts, by the way. Who wants one? These are awesome. And then there it is. Whatever it takes. And then you also get the nice, big, nice, beautiful background. Anyway, Curtis and Debbie, I'm gonna hand it over to you, because we always talk about the shift, right? Whether this is a shift or not a shift, there's a lot of great qualities in how do we prepare for a shift. So if you're not preparing for what may come, that you don't know what's coming, that's our job to give you that message. Please understand. 2006, I was in mega camp, and I'm just going to tell a quick story, and then I'm going to be quiet, and I'm actually going to mute myself. 2006, I was in mega camp. There's this redheaded guy, and I don't know his name, but it was George's coach. He said to me, how's business? I said, absolutely fantastic. I'm going to do about 18 million in sales. He goes, great. What are you going to do next year? I said, I'm probably going to do 18 to 20 million next year. He goes, no, you won't. You have a coach? I said, no, I don't need one. He goes, the market's changing. I said, the market's not changing. You're crazy. Guys, 2007, I did 3 million. Okay. Do you think that hurt? Because I wasn't listening to what the professionals were saying that study that. And by the way, George in 2007, 8, and 9, and he went from selling like 60 homes to 300, 400, and then 900 homes, because he had a coach that prepared him for what was coming, and he was open-minded. Very valuable learning lesson there. All right, Coach Curtis and Debbie, this is yours. I know you guys probably have a hard stop, and we have the numbers of counting and increasing on our participants, so it's all yours.
Thanks, Tom. Hey, listen, talking about what you're talking about, right? I just put a zero money down VA buyer under contract. And what I did was I set the expectation with them. I can find you a home. It might take time. It might take money. If you can figure out how to put more money down, we can increase our odds. I talk about what a good offer looks like and how sellers will look at. All I did was set the expectation. I said, look, an all cash offer with no contingency is going to be on the top of the pile. Second is going to be a financed offer with no contingency, top of the pile. Third offer is, however, if we can tell our story, we might be able to move ourselves up. If we can share that you're a police officer and you're a veteran, we might be able to tug at the heartstrings. If we can run into the seller at the property while we're looking at it and engage in conversation. But I set the expectation. I said, but I can find you a house. I can find you a house. You could buy. And oh, by the way, this was 4 months ago, not today, because I noticed after season, our market here in Sarasota, $700,000 condo, the notes in the realtor mark says we'll be taking offers and deciding on Monday. Sunday night, that verbiage was taken off. 28 days, that's still sitting on the market and lowered $25,000. So this offer was made during season when there were 5, 10, 15, 20 offers on every property. What we did, we said a property that comes back on the market is a better chance. An uglier property is a better chance. A property that's been on the market 40 days, there are some. They're the ugliest, worst properties in the market. Those are all I did was set expectations and then say, what do you want to go look at? Well, they didn't want to look at the ugly properties, but they were willing to look at the ones that deals had fallen through, because when a deal falls through and it comes back on, people just didn't seem to be as swift in getting offers in if it'd been, because the active days on market looks like 8 days, because it went off, then it came back on. Now it says 8 days. It doesn't say 0. That's the house they wound up being able to, there were no other offers on the one that we made the offer on. But how long did we make offers? Probably 3.5 months. And we probably put in a dozen. And they're like, we're sorry. We keep, listen, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. We're getting you a house. We don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm confident if we keep looking and we keep moving forward, we're going to find one. It's setting expectations. I don't say I can't find you a house, but I say, here's where you're going to be positioned. Here, and no big deal. It's just where it's just the facts. And I think oftentimes realtors don't set the expectation. And then when their buyers put in 4 offers or 5 offers and they start getting disappointed, they haven't set the expectation. And now they have to explain to the buyers that this is normal, but it's too late because the horse is out of the barn. You can set your expectations for everything up front. Closing is going to be bumpy. It's going to be bumpy. It's always bumpy. Sellers are going to ask for things and try to negotiate, and they're negotiating for their family. You're negotiating for your family. Doesn't make them wrong. Doesn't make, oh, I can't believe he's asking for that. That's ridiculous. It is what it is. It's what they're asking for. We can say yes. We can say no. If we say no, we walk away. We've been looking for 3 months. Is it going to take us another 3 months to find another one? Or are we going to try to make this one work? I don't care which one you pick. Pick one. If it falls apart, I set the expectation. We spend too much time owning the responsibility of a delayed closing. But if you set the expectation that the opera's not over till the fat lady sings, and closing might be delayed, not to our fault, not to our mortgage, not to anybody's fault, but maybe it is our fault. Maybe it is the mortgage lender. Now, I had someone that went and put a deposit on an RV. I said, don't put the deposit on the RV because we're not closed. I'm putting the deposit on the RV. They're going to hold it till the day after closing. I said, don't do that. 3 days before closing, they said we need to delay closing. My buyer was furious. Actually, it was the seller. Buyer needed to close, and we were sketchy about whether there was really a bigger problem. He goes, but I'm going to lose my deposit. I said, no, you said it was going to be refundable. He goes, but it's our favorite one. I said, Did we talk about how this might not be a good idea? Now, he was pissed, he was yelling, but he was stupid because I told him not to do it because there's no guarantee we're going to close on the date of closing. Guess what happened? He wound up going back to the dealer, getting his refund back, and finding an RV that he liked even better. But I set the expectation so then I don't have to own the disappointment. I can say, oh, I'm really sympathetic. And we talked about this. Oh, I know you're really upset. Wow, it must really suck to have to go and get that money back. Gosh, I'm with you. I'm on your side. I'm feeling so sad for you. It's frustrating, but I don't own it. Right. And setting those expectations. And if you don't know how to do that, get with a mentor, get with someone that can help you do that. If you find yourself in a conversation with a buyer or seller and you're struggling because you realize you might have should have said something before that you didn't, go talk with somebody and say, hey, this is what I'm having to overcome now. How could I have set this up so I didn't feel like it was my responsibility? Sorry, I get soapboxy, Tom.
Hey, Debbie, and I'm going to turn this over to Curtis. He really wants to dig into those pages, that chapter. I'm not going to give it up for anybody, but I was going to tell everyone, if you look at the buyer presentation and the listing presentation and the EXP marketing tools, or if you're not with EXP and you're with another company, look at your buyer presentation and your seller presentation. It has expectation questions in there. It sets them up for success. Utilize a professional format like that and get some accountability with someone too. Curtis.
Let's go back to
Giggles.
Deb got out of control for a minute. It's all good.
Hey, I'm passionate because I think we set ourselves up, and it's not a judgment thing. It's a learning thing. I didn't know how to do this when I started in real estate. I screwed up a whole lot of times and didn't set expectations. And over time, I learned that if you set expectations, you don't have to own anything. The deal falls apart. You've already told them that the deal can fall apart, that it might be out of our control or we may cause it, but it may fall apart and all of our dreams can feel like they're dashed. But as long as we're committed to keep moving forward, we can find a solution.
Yeah. So Tom, we actually did a couple of things. We set some time aside and we can actually both hang out till 9:30. So, but anyway, yeah. So anyway, what I was going to say was love Hank Sorensen, and he's exactly correct. In fact, Deb and I have been talking about it all week, as well as I've been talking about it with my coach and some other people about where we're going and about what's on agents' minds. And, one of the things that, Deb and I talked about, because, I think everybody's running around saying, yeah, there's a shift. And yet there's not maybe the action being taken and stuff like that. So we were talking about, well, why is that? And well, this is what we figured. We could be wrong, but this is what I figured. We get busy, we get clients, we go get them under contract, or we're making some positive things happen, and that's a win. And then we take our eyes off of all the other things happening, right? And then if we don't have a win or some things going on, well, then we see what's happening. And unfortunately, at that point, we're living in some fear maybe, and we're not necessarily taking action and stuff like that. And so we just do this sort of up and down. Right. And so we've got to get right about that. And so as we talked about it and continued talking about it over the last couple of days, we went back to that. And I texted you last night, right? We went back to that trusty little book Shift. And not that we think we need to dive into all the 12 steps and stuff like that, but quite honestly, just simply starting between, pages 7 and 16, which was talking about understanding the shift, whatever that might look like, and then getting right about it so that we can go do the things that we need to do in order to win and continue to win as we carry forward. And so, Deb, did you have anything to say about that? I mean, I wanted to read through this because I'd really love to hear some feedback from you all. And so this is what I read, and I'm not going to read all of this. There's just a couple of things that I'd highlighted, Deb and I had highlighted. And I think what you notice, if not in your market, at least in our market, and then of course we all, it'll start to happen, right? Because we all sort of mirror one another. But I think we all realize that we're heading into sort of this buyer's market, as weird as it might feel right this very second, okay? And so this is what it says. It says, why does a shift to a buyer's market create pain? And I think we're all getting, there's a little bit of pain. 2 reasons. First, it leads to fewer sales and less available sales income in your market. Second, it tends to be abrupt and precipitous. The misleading aspect of an economic shift is that it seems relatively natural and gradual when looked at nationally. When experienced locally, it is usually dramatic and fast. And it goes on to say the national perspective is rarely, if ever, matches the local experience. The hard truth is local market shifts are seldom slow, and local landings are almost never soft. It's a lot like a pendulum or a golf swing, beginning relatively slowly, but accelerating very quickly through the middle. Some local shifts can actually take your breath away. And then it goes on to talk about why an economic shift and all the things that we're experiencing, which we are, which is inflation, global crises. It talks about interest rates increasing, and so on and so forth.
Political climate, right?
Political
All of
climate.
these things. I always liken it to like buyers, because I've been through quite a few of these. It's like buyers secretly talk to each other and come to a collective decision simultaneously that they're going to wait. This $700,000 condo, by the way, I have a buyer, out of town buyer that's interested in this one that's been on the market 28 days. All last 6 months, 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, 1 day, 5 day, 2 days, 3 days, 1 day, 3 days, 4 days. And that's just because the multiple offers and they had to muddle through them. This one, 28 days. It's like it hit a wall.
Yeah.
A wall.
Deb, let me get to the last sentence.
All
'cause then
right.
I'd like to hear from people. And this is the last sentence in that little excerpt that I wanted to say. All of this simply boils down to, and you just alluded to this, to buyer demand, which is driven by affordability and perception. How many buyers can afford to buy, and how many think that it's a good time to buy? Isn't that about where we're at right now?
Mm-hmm.
So what are you guys hearing from buyers? Are you hearing anything different than you've been hearing in the last 6 months?
I'll
Yeah,
open it up because go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Whoever spoke
Oh,
up.
you're fine, Tom. I was just gonna say, I've actually seen both sides. I actually had a call with a buyer yesterday, and she was like, this is the perfect time to buy because I think with interest rates going up, buyers are getting scared. And then on the flip side, most of my buyers are saying this is not the right time to buy because prices are high and interest rates are high.
Yeah.
I get to talk to a lot of agents every day on how to submit an offer effectively. I have a seller and we got 5 offers. Can you help me and my seller understand which ones to take? Here's what it really comes down to. Like the article said, you have one shot, get it right? Fill it out correctly. And make sure you don't have to do a CMA for your buyer to make sure it's the right price. But make sure it's a very clean contract. What we're seeing right now is instead of 10 offers, we're seeing 3 to 4 offers. Instead of 1 day on the market, we're seeing 7 to 10 days on the market. So right there's a small sign. Doesn't mean wait 7 days. It means get in there now, be proactive and be pushy. So no offers will be, all offers are going to be reviewed on Sunday. Well, I'm going to submit an offer to you, and by law, you have to submit it to the seller. I'm going to put tomorrow as the effective date for a response. Nope, that's not how it works. Okay, would you please submit it to your seller and let them sign off that they're not looking at it? Who will do that? Do it. I promise you. Just do it. You know, there's so many different ways that you can be persistent and you don't have to be a butt kisser. And then at the end go, oh man, I thought I built a great relationship with that listing agent. They didn't care. No, you work for the buyer or the seller, whatever it is. So we're seeing a couple less offers coming in. Yeah, they're still competitive and above maybe list, but we're also seeing price reductions. The guy down the road says, Tom, I'm not selling my house for less than 1.1 million. I said, well, that's fantastic. Let's see what happens in 2 years from now, because right now the identical home just sold for 819. He goes, but I'll sell it for 1.1 only. I said, well, you need to call another agent. I hope it works out for you, because I'm being real with you.
Yeah, Tom, we have a couple of comments. Benny says, I keep hearing how real estate prices are supposed to be going back down. So we need to be able, I know, but we need to be able to talk to our buyers about that, right? Deborah says it's a hot market still in Tennessee. That's fantastic. It's coming though, right? It's slowly, as Florida, so the rest of the country, we used to say. Florida crashes first, comes back first, and then the rest of the country follows. But awesome, Deborah, glad you're still really hot up there. Interest rates, yeah. Brian says it's not changing much for him in his market. Kara says interest rates too high. People are starting to be skeptical about lenders offering 120-day rate locks. Builders are adding escalation clauses to new construction. That has buyers wiggly, like it could go up 10% before it closes. Deborah says the only thing she hears is interest rates are increasing, but so far it's not stopping her buyers from buying. I do let them know the interest rates will more than likely rise again. So she's using some motivation and helping people, you know, be proactive. You know, one of the best questions you can ask a buyer is, why are you buying? Because interest rates go up. Guess what? My parents bought a house with 18% interest because they needed a place to live. They just bought a smaller house that they could afford with 18% interest, but they needed a place to live. So when these buyers are saying, yeah, I don't know if it's a good time to buy because the interest rates are going up, my question is, why are we even talking about it? What's prompting you? Because having a baby, getting married, getting divorced doesn't change. We just have to help them with the expectation that this is the market and you might have to live in a 2,000 square foot home instead of a 2,500 square foot home. But let me ask you, are you going to find a rental? Because I don't know about your market. My market right now has no rentals. There are no rentals for those people that want to go and rent for a little bit until they can find the right thing. Not available. So it's really about helping them see what their motivation is. And then saying, well, listen, you're getting married. Do you guys really want to be in an apartment when you get married, or you want to be in your own house? And they might say, we want to be in an apartment. Great. Let's get back together in 9 months. I'll help you find the apartment and we'll buy then. But you need to do your best to try to set the expectation that of what's coming in the market, right? Sellers that list that think they're going to get 5 offers better be having the conversation now that that may happen. But we also might hit a dead stop, and we might need to, if we don't get an offer in 2 weeks, we haven't had to have that conversation. If we don't get an offer in 2 weeks, we're going to have to do a price reduction, and we need to set that expectation in advance, even if we're not using it yet, because at some point you'll have a seller. And if you haven't had that conversation and then 2 weeks it's on the market and there's no offer, now you have to have that conversation. It's much more difficult.
Hey, Deb. I found this is really interesting, and she always brings something to the table. Claire, she wrote in the comments, you know, people don't have a problem paying 10 to 25% on a credit card and never pay it off, but they're worried about 5% to 5.5% for a place to live. So they'll shop for convenience and pay a higher percentage versus their living, right? And by the way, we're already seeing highest and best rental offers as well. For single family homes, people are putting in highest and best for that. So Curtis, I know you had something to share with us, and Curtis and Debbie both, of what is the best thing and the best advice that in any market, that we're in, whether we're in today's market or 2009's market, what is the professionals telling us and the coaches telling us to focus on?
What do you think that might be, Tom?
I don't know, man. It's kind of redundant, and it's kind of like, like my son, didn't I tell you would get hurt and smash your face if you went up a ramp into your buddy like this here with no helmet on? So what did you expect by doing this? You got hurt, right? So I told you that it would work if you would get hurt. So if I told you by your success path is going this way and trust the process, why don't you take that line? I was teaching a class in Orlando, and there was 45 people in the room. Tony Fuentes was there, and Naomi was there. There was quite a few in here that were there. I had everybody raise their hand, and I asked this question. I said, who in here rather call a stranger versus the people in their cell phone? You know what? Almost every single person in that room, but maybe one or two, said they'd rather call a stranger. And here's what happens. We neglect, what happens if we neglect our family? What happens if we neglect our spouses or significant other?
They use different realtors.
They do. So the thing is that I'll let you say the word, Curtis.
What's that? I didn't.
Database.
I was kind of paying attention.
Database.
Database.
He's dancing all around database. Here's the thing. Markets always get squirrely, right? They go up, they go down, they go up and they go down. This is actually normal. For those that haven't been through it, cheat, Alifa says. If it comes down to it, cheat. And so this isn't abnormal, right? And this is not doom and gloom. And this is not the sky is falling. This is, we have to start thinking differently and taking different actions if we want to be on this call a year from now. Because the 80-20 rule says that 20% of the agents will be able to navigate this market. You guys are poised really, really well because you have this. You have, look, the buyer's markets that I went through, I didn't have a group. I was, all those agents that were trying to navigate those short sales, if they didn't have a group where they could say, how do you talk to a bank? How do you talk to a seller who's crying their eyes out because they have so much shame that they're upside down on their mortgage and they can't afford to pay it and they can't afford to sell it because they don't have the money to pay the difference. And they're so scared and embarrassed. How do you do that? When you have a group, you have hive mind. You can go and say, hey, how do I talk to a buyer that's refusing to buy because of the interest rates? Well, we can help with that. How do I talk to a seller who doesn't want to, Tom says, you say, thanks, have a nice life, use a different realtor. But if I want to try to get that guy to list with me, what do I do? We're moving into a super skill-based time period. Buyers markets are skill-based. You guys are positioned great because you have a group to learn, to grow, to figure out how to navigate this. But when times shift, we're going to have to think differently and we're going to have to do different things. The beauty is you have an environment that can help you figure out what are the things I need to do and what are the skills I need to build.
You just said something, skills. I want to bring, I always do a triangle exercise with people that I meet and talk to and that I'm coaching with. And I always put at the very bottom, right? The triangle's the fat part on the bottom, right? Not the tip and because it'll be wobbly, right? And at the very bottom, it's skill set, mindset, and habits, right? And if you're not continuously feeding good habits, you're building your skill set and constantly working on your mindset, skill set, and habits, and that's being coachable and learning based, the foundation becomes all crackly and things just collapse. So no matter what market we're in, I always go back to the foundation: skill set, mindset, and habits. Are you learning based and coachable? And are you continuously being learning based and coachable, regardless of how well you're doing, right? So, and I think that's what Curtis and Debbie are really centrally focused on, bringing back to us: mindset, habits, learning based, coachable, foundation, skill set.
Well, the question is a shift bad? And this comes right from the book Shift on page 11. Are shifts bad? Well, it depends. For the individuals in the market, it could be, because the available income for everyone in the market drops. Now, it hasn't yet, but the whisperings of it is coming, right? It's showing up. For any single individual in their local market, it doesn't have to be a bad thing, because there is enough available income for them to achieve their goals. The challenges for individual agents is the fear or the unknown or the lack of direction. Does that prevent them from taking the right action? It doesn't have to be bad. Curtis was super successful in a shifted market because nobody told him it was a shift, and he didn't know. And they said, you just got to go call people. So he just went and called people. And then when they said, but our house is upside down, and he's like, well, we can figure it out. And he didn't know. He just talked to them and said, how do I move them forward? Tom, you found that success. George found that success because you just went and did the actions and let all the fear. I'm telling you, 80% of my friends said, I'm never going to do short sales. You never get paid. I'm never going to do them. Bye, Felicia. They didn't stay in the business because they refused to learn and grow. And it's not that difficult. It's not like this huge, you don't need to become a PhD. You just need to hone in on the right things, just the right things.
100%. Tell me, Curtis, give me an outline of what we're looking at for our, you see the grit, and I'm just going to open it up because this has been.
I will, but can we make it through just these 2 more pages in this book?
I'm going to mute. I'm muted.
No. Well, you didn't have to mute. Just go to black screen then. Just get it, go. Just disappear. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's all good. But listen, Deb and I talked about this and we dove into it, and I think it's important. So we've discovered and we've talked about a shift, and it's not a bad thing. We realize that we either shifting to a seller's market or we're shifting to a buyer's market, but we're shifting. We get that. We get that we can't live in fear and we've got to take different action. Right? We get that we have to do that, or take action at all, right? Or do more of, or whatever. And then it goes on to talk about the law of the equilibrium and why it's important. And here's why it becomes important. So we've discovered the shift, we've talked about it, we get all the factors and the reasons why. And yet now we talk about the law of the equilibrium. And I want to tell you, because you might be thinking, well, what the heck is that? And I'm on page 13, and it's very short, but bear with me. So it says the law of the equilibrium is as old as the real estate industry itself. It's simple and it's straightforward. The law states that the available income in a market determines the number of agents in that market. We just talked about that. Conversely, when the number of available transactions falls, so does the number of agents. People are attracted to the industry by perceived income opportunity and driven out by the reality of the competition for it. And it goes on the next page and it shows the chart as we just talked about, right? As the income goes up, and over the past couple of years, you've seen it. The NAR keeps talking about it, running around and going, yeah, we got 1.6 million real estate agents, woo, and 200,000 more that want to get their license. Well, that's going to change. That's going to change. I don't know when, but real soon. Or that 200,000 is just not going to go ahead and get their license, right?
Oh, but they will, because there's lag, right? There's lag between
that's what we were getting at.
Perception and reality.
How many of them are going to be? How many of them are actually going to be here in a year?
Well, that's right? That's the big question. That's the big question. Good thing is we all have our license already. We're all already doing it, right? And so Deb just alluded to it. It's on the next page 14. It's just one sentence because I thought this was important. There is the market's shift and its lag time. We all know, right? Everything happened 30, 60, 90, 6 months later, whatever. And then there's a shift. There's your shift and your lag time. And I started thinking about that. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. That's what's been occurring with some of the people that I've been talking to. They're saying yes, 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 a shift. And yet they're not taking any different action. And so I'm thinking, well, if they do nothing, well, when are they going to do that? And my fear for them is that they don't do it until after the fact. Well, if there's a lag time, that could hurt. That could hurt real bad. Would you agree? Like, seriously, right? Especially if, as Tiffany alluded to earlier, the deal you're closing today was from work you did a month, 2 months, 3 months ago. The calls you made, the things you did, right? The things you did. And then here's the last part that I had marked, and it was on page 16, and I'll leave it there. In order to survive and then thrive, you'll need to shift gears. Can you put it in another gear? Most people fear shift because they don't understand the law of the equilibrium. They can't shift their thinking, so they don't shift their tactics. If you can shift gears, shifting both your thinking and your tactics, you will accelerate ahead of the rest. That's all I got out of the book. Thoughts? Comments? He's nuts.
I like to hear, I like to open it up as a mastermind because there's so many great things that you just said. And the one thing that really stood out to me was the less the inventory, the less the sales, the more agents that leave the industry. And we're here to help you not leave the industry, but you got to do the work. You got to grind, you got to dig, you got to have grit. You got to be learning based, coachable, and move forward. You got to keep running. It's, there's somebody said to me, oh, I'm selling a $15 million property. I said, that's one, but what do you do next year and the year after? See, I'd rather have a high-minded conversation when I was doing 40 transactions than one transaction, because the activities are what drives the transactions, not the volume, right? So focus on your units, not the volume. When you focus on the units, the volume will come, and it puts you in the habits of doing the things that need to be done to continue your success.
Well, and Tom, just real quick, what else that, as they talk about the law of equilibrium and getting into different action and thinking differently and really grinding it out. As the number of agents decreases, we get into action, we stay in the business. As we come up and out the other side, you actually gain market share. You come out better than you were heading into it. So it's opportunity time is really what it is.
Yeah.
If you think about it that way.
Yeah. And that brand new agent coming in right now doesn't know any different or any better, kind of like Curtis did when he came in the market, right? They're hungry when they come in and they do what you tell them to do, and boom, right? Sometimes we get complacent. And when we get complacent, that's when we start failing. See, when the water stops flowing in the river, everything dies, right? So we have to be surrounded around this group and these people to constantly educate us and motivate us and influence us to become what our purpose is and reach our potential.
Yeah. And it's not complex, right? It's not complex to be successful in a shifting market. But you have to be purposeful, right? And we've been blessed these last couple of years, most of us, that we haven't had to hustle as hard, right? Business kind of came to us. Look, I don't sell real estate and I closed 12 transactions last year because my referrals called me. I don't lead generate for business. My people in my database called me and begged me. And I said, I can't, I'm a coach. I work full-time coaching and I don't have the time to show you properties. And in this market, you need a realtor that's going to be able to show you a property that just comes on the market. And every single one of them says, we'll wait for you. If we miss one, then it wasn't meant for us. Awesome. I can show you on the weekends, but I'm not going to be out during the week showing property. So I closed 12. In average year, I'll close 2 or 3. So there's the difference, like this last year, of how hot the market is. So what happens is our skills, we rest a little bit and we forget what it looked like to build a business and to actively go and look for business. And that's what grit is going to help us with. It's going to remind us and refresh us with what are the actions that successful agents use to build the business? How do we build a $100,000 pipeline? We've gotten away from building a pipeline because the business was just coming so fast and furious. In fact, I know Curtis he has a couple $100 million teams. He says, stop fishing in your pipeline for the people that have already raised their hand. They're cycling through the hot leads that have shown up recently, but they're not going out and finding more leads or other leads or new leads. They're only cycling around in the ones that they've already talked to. And yet the most successful agents have a pipeline, right? That's predictable. They could say, oh, I've got 4 people in November that are thinking about buying or selling. There's 2 skills. 1, why are you waiting until then? And then number 2 is calling them every 2 months to make sure their timeline hasn't moved up. But it's about being good at that pipeline. And that's what grit's going to be about, right? 4 weeks to a 6-figure pipeline. Our goal is to help you identify $100,000 in revenue in 4 weeks.
And that's twice a week. Right. And then
Twice a week starting June 2nd, it's 1 to 3. It's Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 to 3. Right now, where the price is $199, it's going up on the 20th, which is next week to, I don't know what it's going up to, but we're raising it. And we have a special surprise.
By the way, when I got with Curtis and Debbie, they were so thrilled about putting this together because they have already been masterminding about this coaching program that they're putting together, that they come to realize that they have a huge investment they have to make themselves in, cameras and microphones and upgrading some stuff for their computers and their rooms and all that stuff there too. So they are fully, this is going to be a program, a group coaching program that's going to go on for a very long time and keep going. Just like many other coaching programs out there, this is within our group, structured for us. Invite anybody you want to. I already know that who's already in: Tiffany, Claire, Liz, and several others. And I've gotten a ton of calls from agents. Holly, is one, and I know she's calling Debbie and Curtis as well. This is going to change our lives, guys. This is going to change your life. And I don't know about you, but if I look at next year, 2023, I know that at minimum, my wife will do probably 15 to 20 sales without even going to lead generate, because it's from the database. Last year, she did 32 and she's only done 9 or 10 on average. It's because we dug back into the database, and she doesn't want to sell anymore. She doesn't want to work with buyers and sellers, and she's getting business. Just like Debbie, she doesn't want to buy and sell anymore. She's coaching, but she's still getting business. Who would like it that way, So I'm done again, I'm muting.
The other thing I think, and Curtis and I talk about this all the time, agents are always looking for an easy button, right? And grit can be the easy button for you, right? You know what to do. You know what you're supposed to do. We struggle with the execution. Curtis, tell them what the surprise, the offer we have today.
Well, I can't give you the muscles, but I can give you the t-shirt that Tom might happen to be wearing right there. So what we actually said, because I've got a handful sitting, one right over there, and I wanted to give them out. So what I said was, I'll give out 10 t-shirts, first 10 registrants today. So there you go. So 10 t-shirts, first 10 registrants. Now here's what it won't. On the registration site, it will not ask you your name and address and stuff like that. What we'll do is actually email you, and you can give us your size as well as your address, and we'll get that out to you. But I've got t-shirts if you want one. You might not look as good as that guy, but hey, we can try. We can all aspire to be him, can't we? Sorry, had to take my shot.
Hey, listen, that's why I do what I do. I
Can
love.
you just
I
mute
love-
him? I got a question. I've had my hand up. Shut up, Tom.
Yes, Claire, you can have. Karen.
No disrespect to my coach, Tom. That was kind of a conversation that George and Tom had on the call when I was coming over to EXP. That was meant to no disrespect. That was an inside joke. Please forgive me, Tom, and for everybody on this call, that is not how I am. Coach Debbie and Coach Curtis, thank you for this opportunity. And one thing that I wanted to jump and say, when Coach Debbie was talking to us about our database, it kind of reminds me of what goes on at my river. Okay. At any given point in time, I know I'm never going to go hungry because I can put a line in the water and catch a fish. However, if I am not feeding those fish so that more fish come and know at certain times, at certain points that fish feeder is going off, then my otters, my turtles, my manatees, the whole ecosystem changes. So I equate that. And when I am keeping up with those different types of touches each and every day to the people that are in my database, because most of y'all know I've spent 1.5 years, almost 2 years being in a management role, and now I'm back in production. Do I still get people to say, when they call, come list me, I got to buy a house? Of course I do. However, it is excruciatingly important right now that your people know that you are the best person to use. The people that are on this call are investing in their future, and y'all are at the top of the crop when it comes to real estate agents. Y'all are learning based, y'all are growing. And you know what? Those people that are in your phone deserve to hear from you, whether they like you or not. They don't have to like me as a person. I've got people that don't like me as a person. However, they will call me and say, I need you now, because they trust my professionalism. People in my phone, some are friends, some are family, some are, vendors. However, don't get caught up in that mindset to be a friend. You are a real estate consultant, advisor, agent, realtor, whatever you want to label yourself as. And the first and foremost, you are an expert in the business. And just like what Coach Debbie and what Coach Curtis have said, if you're asking those questions and you're consulting with them on their disc profile and meeting their language, their needs, you are less likely to get stressed, and so are they. Happy life.
For sure. So we're going to be talking about mindset. We're going to be talking about activities, right? And it's going to be fun, and we're going to laugh a lot, and we're going to learn a lot, and we're going to learn from each other. But we want this to be an easy button for you to shift into the activities that'll make you thrive in this next market. That's the vision, right? Yeah. And you can do it because you're learning based by showing up twice a week and taking action on the things that we're talking about.
Hey, Curtis and Debbie, I just got to say one thing. I have to get off the call. I'm bringing my wife to the airport because we're going to have, my daughter and I are going to have a vacation here without her being here.
Hey, Tom.
Yes, sir.
Tom.
Yeah.
You had mindset, you had skill set, and you had what else?
Habit.
And
But one of the toughest things that I see, Fred, so often is the habits get in the way with the skill set and the mindset because they don't do the right things. They don't get the right Rest.
And what do you need to have that habit set? It's will set. You have the will to be physically healthy.
That's
If you don't have the will, and this is not about investing in Debbie and Curtis, this is about investing in yourself. And one of the things that we the value, when you don't sign up for something like this at that kind of cost, you're not believing in yourself. Again, I say this, an average agent earns $44,000 a year. An average CRS agent earns $111,000 a year. And why isn't everybody on this call CRS? We don't believe in ourselves, not the CRS. It's not the CRS that gives you the secret. It's the fact you take the time, you show up, you dedicate, you believe in you. That's the key. I don't believe in Debbie and Curtis. I believe in me. And I'm buying one of these and I don't have the time to show up, and I'm going to give it to somebody that I know is hungry enough. And I'm probably going to buy 2 of them because, and I'm not wealthy, believe me, trust me, I'm back on a rebound, but I believe in when I give, I get a greater capacity to give more, and the more you give, the more you get. So stop invest in yourself today, please. I unfortunately, I got on because I had an early appointment I couldn't get out of, and I've been on since about 9 in the car. And I mean, guys, I love you. Thank you so much. I mean, thank you for what you do. I know the grind you go through to get to something like grit, right? These people grind and they put forth, and they've got that going on inside of them. And you better listen to that voice that's saying to you, I am bigger than I think I am. Our problem is we play small and we got used to it, and we keep repeating it over and over and over again. I know some of your incomes on this call, and it's shameful. It's shameful to your family, to your kids. Stop it. Quit playing small. Invest in yourself. I'll get off my soapbox. I'm glad no one muted me.
We love your soapbox, Fred. It's an amazing. We're all singing the same song, right? We care so passionately about the business and care so passionately about the agents that are growth minded in it that it's hard not to be passionate about. This business is simple but not easy, and if you just you're 3/4 in the right lane, you make some small tweaks to what you're doing, and you shift to the fast lane.
And invest
but it's
in
difficult.
yourself.
It's difficult to do it alone and by yourself.
Work harder on yourself than you do the business, and working hard on yourself. You're saying, Fred's right, Debbie's right, Tom's right, Curtis is right. I've got to show up. And I got to invest in myself. It will pay off. Just alone. This business, by the way, it's not about making a living. It's about learning how to live, because this business will turn you into a thinker. It will turn you into a psychologist. It will turn you into a psychiatrist. You will be so damn good at living life if you commit to the business and commit to yourself to commit to the business. I mean, what it will make of you. Thank God you don't have a job. I mean, I every time I go to an office or where they have people to have to show up every day, do the same thing over and over and over and over again, I just thank God for these people. And, when you make a decision to become an entrepreneur, you're making a decision to change the world. But first, it's got to start with changing you. I have changed this world in many ways, and I thank God because I decided to stop a job when I was 23 years old and take the risk and go in as an entrepreneur. And then what it forced me to become is bigger than any of the monies I've ever earned out of it. So please invest in yourself. You're worthy of it. And if you don't write that check today, I'm telling you right now, you don't think you're worthy. That's the deal. Okay. Love you guys. Watch out. I'm on fire today.
Love you, Fred.
And you know what, Fred, thank you for that, and love your passion. And, it's funny, you just made me think of something. And, I don't know about anybody else, but when I first got in this business, I thought, well, I'm just going to go make some money and I'm going to help some people. This business is way bigger than that. And you said it just a moment ago, as far as having the opportunity to live this incredible life and do all these incredible things and so on and so forth. And so oftentimes, many of us don't take advantage of that. And we run around and we tell ourselves these stories about, I just want to go help people and all this sort of stuff. And that's great. And here's the deal. Helping the people is the byproduct of you helping yourself. You helping yourself, right? So let's stop kidding ourselves. We're in this business to make money. and to support our families and live incredible lives. And the byproduct is that we get to help people along the way and do that. So let's go live these incredible lives. We do get the opportunity to build them out. I'll say it real quick, and this is not, don't take it the wrong way. Hopefully it comes across correctly. One of the teams that I coach, and I interviewed her just a little bit ago, and she's as genuine as the can be. Debbie and I interviewed her. Her name is Laura Rhodes. She has a real estate team, it's Sarasota Gulf Coast Realtors in Sarasota. And I believe she got in the business 6 years ago. And, was a single agent, did all the things, whatever. And now she has a real estate team. Here we are 6 short years later. And she started that real team, I think, I don't know, 3 years ago, maybe. And I say little, but they're 20 people or something like that. Anyway, I think they did $140 million last year. They're already at $72 million this year, and will probably, I don't know, wind up 160 million, 170 million. But the point is that she took advantage of the opportunity that we all have of selling real estate. If you listen to the recording or any interview that we've done with her, she talks about, I did all of this so I could go live this incredible life. And actually what she says was, it's really to spend time with my special needs child. And that's why she did it. And so, and it's just interesting to listen to her, and she's so genuine. It's not about, oh, I made this. It's just so that she could go live this incredible life with and for her child. So anyway, and that's the opportunity we're all afforded.
Liz has her hand up. I wanted to give her a quick chance if she wanted to say something, and then it is 9:30.
Okay, guys, good morning. I'm sorry that I'm not on video today. My kid is acting a little bit crazy, but Coach Curtis, Coach Debbie, thank you so much for this call. I am actually, because I know how imperative this is going to be, so I am willing to sponsor one person for Grit. Send me an email. I'm going to put it down. I'm going to put my email in the chat. I want it to be for somebody who I just want to make sure that everyone is successful. So I'm going to put my email in the chat. Just tell me your story. Tell me what Grit would do for you, and how this is going to change your life. And I'm willing to sponsor you for it, but you have to give it your all. Just wanted to put that out there.
Liz, thank you. And I'll do the same thing. Put my email down. I'll sponsor one. But when you write me that story, I don't want to hear your story. I want to hear your mindset, your will set. And I want you to go to Google and I want you to type in there 10 things that require zero talent. 10 things that require zero talent. And if you can tell me you have 80% of them, I'm going to pick one of you and sponsor you. Okay.
Love it.
10 things that require.
Same.
You got to promise me you have 80% of them.
We got to run. It's 9:30. Go out there. Go out there with hope and purposeful action. And you got this. And we believe in you guys. We really do. You guys are in a great place to be able to survive and thrive through this experience. If I was in production, I'd be going like this right now. I'd be so excited. We are shifting into a skill-based market. It would be so much fun for me to go, yeah, because now I get to rise and shine, right? It's going to be great. So go out and have a great day.
Yeah. Hey, guys, one of the things, when it's the rough times or the growth times, and it's like a farm area. A lot of people say, well, I don't want to start a farm area because so-and-so's got it. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. So I like what they were talking about, that opportunity. So it's a time for a great opportunity for all of us. And it's also a great opportunity for attraction. So anyway, believe in yourself and let's do it. That was great. I'm going to go back and watch the first half hour.